in Studio. This is a show where you're going to hear many voices from the community. And they're so important because not only are they a part of who we are, but they're going to be a part of who we are going to be. They're going to offer some resources. They're going to offer some opportunities for you to get to know them, provide some, key facts that we need to know. So listen up. It's a great show in Studio. Introduce yourselves if you can.
Thank you, Janine, for having me on. My name is Donna Hagiga, and I'm the CEO of the Women's Fund of Western Massachusetts.
Also, thank you, Janine, for having me on. My name is Ahmad Rivera. I'm a former policy advisor to U.S. Senator Ed Markey and a candidate for state senate.
Well, it's great to have you both on the show, and both of you are doing wonderful work. I mean, kudos to both of you. And I'd like to start with you, Ahmad. Just tell us a little bit about your journey. Were you born and raised here? How did you come to do the wonderful things that you do? And you have also been known to be the founder of Springfield Pride. Is that true?
That's right. So I was born and raised in Springfield. I went to elementary school in Chicopee at Belcher Street Elementary, which has now been physically moved. And then I met the love of my life in West Springfield. We're actually getting married in Ireland in September. And to his chagrin, I planned the wedding before I planned running for office. So I owe him a lot as we go through this primary. There's an election on September 4th. But I was lucky. I was raised by a single mom right here in this community. She had me at 16. And for so many families, it is getting harder and harder to get into the middle class. And for us, we have a really unique journey. We went from being in a homeless shelter to me working on a master's degree in education, doing some of my PhD work at Brandeis University, and then ultimately getting to become the policy advisor to U.S. Senator Ed Markey, one of the greatest achievements I've had in my entire life. And I just want to make sure that people and that journey keeps happening, that families that are working to get to the middle class can stay there and stick there. I'm a very active local person. I was the founder of Springfield Pride. Many folks remember about 5 or 6 years ago, we actually started putting the rainbow banners all throughout downtown. And one of the things is that we have an amazing community filled with so many incredible people of so many different backgrounds that people forget that, for example, West Springfield has the largest concentration of immigration, people who are immigrants in Western Massachusetts. Springfield has one of the most diverse cities in the state of Massachusetts. Chicopee welcomes people from Poland, Ireland, all the way to Somalia and Bangladesh. So we are really a community that is also female-led. We have one of the largest shares of households led by females. So I'm so proud of this community, the potential it has, and it's helped me do some incredible things. Part of this community gave me the access and the experience to go to UMass Amherst and do my master's degree in education. I also then went to, previous to that, I went to Bentley University. I graduated from the High School of Science and Technology. Locally, we call it SciTech. I was very proud. I was the captain of the wrestling team. My name is still on the wrestling room for the fastest pin, the most pins in a season. And so I'm really proud that this community was able to give me a chance. And I just want to make sure that other people get that opportunity as well. It's why I so believe deeply in universal health care, making sure that our families who deal with some of the greatest disparities in income and disparities in healthcare outcomes. So for example, we have the highest infant mortality rates in the state. And that is even more a problem for women of color. But we can actually pass a prenatal care and expansion of prenatal services that actually could solve that problem. As many of you know, in Springfield is the 4th worst place to live in the country for asthma. And so we live in a community that has a lot of treasure and a lot of potential, but we can't get there if we keep doing the same things over and over again. So I'm really excited about being able to present a policy platform that's informed by the people in this community, that impacts this community and will make a difference in their lives.
And I'm just excited that, number one, you're from this community, and I have to give a shout out to your mom,
Yeah.
Kim Rivera.
That's right.
If you don't know the name, you probably haven't been in Springfield very long. But your mom, first met your mom when your sister and my daughter went to elementary school. And when you think about it, she was out there, continues to be out there.
That's right.
And I think you have really stepped into those footsteps and taken them even further than she probably even imagined.
I will say, isn't it always the truth that we stand on the shoulders of the people who come before us?
Yes.
And in particular, those shoulders are often female.
Yes.
And so I think that I'm so lucky that my mom had the tenacity, the energy, the
And
drive.
continue.
I know. She's
And remember, you had the event at your home, the Cynthia Nixon.
That's right.
Tell us about that. And Mom was there saying, you came. I said, okay, I came. So tell us about Cynthia
Yeah,
Nixon.
so Cynthia Nixon is was a former movie star who starred in Sex and the City. She was Miranda, of one of 4 women that explored various types of issues throughout New York City. And she's also a candidate for governor of New York. And one of the things that I believe deeply is that making sure that we support progressives and women of color and people of color throughout the valley, throughout the country, and that it matters, right? That there are people who have a lens and a perspective that range from Boston to New York, from Springfield to Seattle. And we need to make sure that those voices are being lifted up and moving forward as our country is dealing with lots of challenges, that we need to make sure those voices that reflect the diversity of our communities are heard.
And I so appreciate that, because a lot of people don't realize in Springfield, there are a lot of people from New York. I'm from New York.
That's right.
Yeah, so I was like, when I saw it, I was just like, what a great connection, because
Yeah.
while we have this deep-rooted will that Springfield succeeds, a lot of us draw on other communities, and many of us actually, have extensions in those communities. So when I saw that, I just said, I tell people, don't focus on the politics, focus on the people.
That's right.
And I was just so pleased to see that everybody in that room, really cut to the passion. And while you had people stand by the fireplace, no fire, which was great because it was like
in the middle of July, no heat
Too
wave,
warm.
yeah.
But again, it really got that fire started
Yeah.
for new people. And it was so great to see your mom there, because it made it come full circle for me. And then I had my daughter there. But I'm
Yeah.
just saying, this is the way for Springfield. So thank you so much. And once again, just tell us what you're running for.
So I'm running for a state senate in the Hamden district, which is Springfield, most of Springfield, 3 parts of Chicopee, and all of West Side. It is exciting because it's actually one of 3 majority minority districts in the state. And so it's a really exciting opportunity. You can learn more about the campaign at ahmaudrivera.com, or on Twitter at AhmaudAir, or on Facebook, or Ahmaud Rivera for State Senate. And I just wanted to close with, one of the things that was so amazing about Cynthia Nixon is I think that this region has so much potential and talent that making the argument that we bring people to us, because we are building a movement here that says we matter. We are talking about national issues. We're talking about national solutions. And incredible people like yourself, Janine, who are actually helping to amplify those voices, is exactly what we need more of, and that we need to make sure that we are showcasing the talent and the beauty of this community.
Yes.
That's, despite our challenges, we rise. And I think with the right investments, we could be soaring.
Yes.
And I think you are helping to move that message, and Cynthia Nixon coming to Springfield was just one of the ways that I'm trying to add to the beautiful soaring that this community and path it's on.
And I am very proud that we're sitting in West Side.
That's right.
Of which I used to think was Upper Manhattan, but now I know it's not. And the key fact that here we're at the cable station.
That's right.
In this area and making a difference. So great, thank you so much, and I'll look forward to talking with you in the next segment, Donna.
Sounds
Thank
wonderful.
you.
This segment is all about women. This is such an important viewpoint for all of us, because women truly make the world go round. But I don't want to get in trouble with that, so that's why I'm going to talk with Donna Hayegat of the Women's Fund. Tell me, what are the top issues we need to think about that are still lingering that women need to just be aware of, so that we can break that glass ceiling, make that salad bowl, whatever it is?
Yeah. Janine, thanks so much for, again, having me on. I think it's really important for the women and girls and young women of Western Massachusetts to understand that we have not yet achieved equality. At most, we're making, 83 cents on the dollar for a white woman as compared to a white man, and that's as good as it gets. It gets worse if you're a Latina woman or a black woman, and so forth. So certainly economic security is a major issue for girls, young women, and women in Western Massachusetts. Healthcare, access to healthcare, particularly mental health care, as well as important. Safety. Women, we are more vulnerable in terms of safety in Western Massachusetts, in terms of sexual assault, domestic violence, gun violence. These are all things that we should be concerned about as well. And finally, leadership. We have not achieved parity with men in terms of representation in public office, in representation on boards of corporations, and certainly not in terms of CEOs of companies and so forth. So those are all the types of things that we're trying to work to address so that girls, young women, and women can move away from the margins and towards centered leadership. And I'd love to tell you a little bit more about two programs that we're providing. The Women's Fund of Western Massachusetts, as you know, Janine, is over 20 years old and has been doing amazing transformative work creating access and opportunities for girls and young women and women throughout the 4 counties of Western Massachusetts through grant making and also through some transformative leadership development programs. We've had a program called LIPI that's been robustly running for the past 8 years. We're just now recruiting for our 9th class. And LIPI stands for the Leadership Institute for Political and Public Impact. And the goal there is to hopefully get more women who are going to raise their hand and say, yes, I want to run, I want to be civically engaged, and my voice matters. But we also have another program that we just started last year. We have a program called the Young Women's Initiative, and we're very excited to be part of this program along with 7 other women's funds across the country. And what that program is specifically focused on girls and young women in Springfield, and particularly girls and young women of color, non-binary, trans, bisexual, and so forth. And this program is for girls and young women 14 to 24 years old. And it's an amazingly transformative program because it not only centers the program around what are the barriers that these girls and young women are facing in Springfield, but it also provides to them a stipend for being in the program, teaches them financial literacy so they'll know how to manage that wonderful stipend that they're getting. They learn about public policy and social justice, and they learn about philanthropy as well and the role of philanthropy in making change. The young women in our first year that just graduated, they were able to break into groups and work on topics such as the lack of women of color in leadership. They don't see enough of those women in Springfield. And for instance, another one of the groups was working on educating folks about what rape culture is and how to combat that. And so each of the 4 groups got to have a little bit of grant money, $2,500 or more in some cases, because the young women actually donated to the fund themselves through their stipends. That's a little bit about learning about philanthropy.
Yeah.
And they got to choose, research and choose a nonprofit that was working to address that issue, and they decided which nonprofit should get that grant funding. So it's a tremendous program to teach them all about how one makes change in society through different vehicles, legislative, philanthropy, and just through grassroots organizing as well.
Yeah, it's a great program, and I will even add a point, if that's okay.
Sure, that'd be great.
My daughter, Nikai Fondon,
Yes.
is
One of the peer coordinators.
peer
exactly.
coordinators. And it's great to see young women not only being embraced in Springfield, but also put in a role of leadership so that they can work with your organization and really role model that work that you're doing with the girls, which is absolutely wonderful. Tell me about the trip that you actually
Sure.
went on to California.
Yeah. Once again, because we're part of this national collaborative, we get to benefit, and we collectively received a grant from the Walmart Foundation, and part of that grant included money so that myself and Nikai could take 3 of our young women to the United States of Women Summit. And they got to see amazing figures like Jane Fonda and Dolores Huerta and Michelle Obama
yes.
as well. And one of our young women, Ramona Williams from Springfield, of course, got to be on the main stage about 45 minutes before Michelle Obama was on the main stage and speak to the whole audience about what her project was and what the Young Women's Advisory Council in Springfield is working on. And it was an amazing moment. I told her she was the warm-up act for Michelle Obama.
Yes, and what an opportunity.
Yeah, it was wonderful. And also one of the other young women, Carla Travieso, afterwards had sent us the most heartfelt thank you letter talking about how transformative the experience of going to California was and all the folks that she got to see firsthand and how she wants to work in any way to repay the Women's Fund for that, but also to just become the leader that she is in. And it was amazing because one of the other speakers asked everyone in the audience if they're thinking of running for office to please stand. And Carla was one of the folks who stood at United States of Women. So what we're doing through, the Women's Fund is doing through this program is really creating the next generation of leaders who are going to make the change that needs to happen.
And speaking of next generation, you are inviting women and young women to not only apply for being a part of LIPI, but for YWI.
Exactly.
So please tell us how. Now
Sure.
these are, and the age groups that you would like to apply.
Wonderful. So if folks will go to My Women's Fund, women's plural, mywomensfund.org, you can find the applications for both the LIPI program and the YWI Young Women's Initiative. And the Young Women's Program is taking applications throughout the summer, and the LIPI program for adult women who want to step into their own leadership, that program is taking applications until the end of July.
Great. And
Yeah.
how about a phone number, just in case?
You know what? It's best to check on the website because I don't want to give you the wrong phone number. I'm
Yes,
not a
and we'll
great
pull it up on the
numbers
screen
person.
for folks.
That would be
because,
wonderful.
just so that they have access. And I'm personally inspiring any young woman out there. How many opportunities do you get to get a stipend for developing yourself?
Exactly.
Is that true?
Exactly.
Yes.
And it's really important to have that stipend as part of the program because we want these young women to realize that they have value.
Yes.
And so that's what we're teaching them as well. We feel really strongly at the Women's Fund that the way forward is through women, through
Yes.
investing in women, as we saw with Aman. His mom, Kim Rivera, is a strong woman who has created an amazing young man who's going out and changing the world. We feel very strongly that when we invest in women,
Yes.
such as Kim or other women in Western Massachusetts and girls and young women, they then, it's a ripple effect.
Yes. And if I'm remembering correctly, Kim Rivera also went through LIPI.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I didn't even know that.
Yes,
so
we
that's
can
an
go
amazing
check that
bonus.
fact.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
I believe she did. And because every year that I do a workshop,
That's right.
I think I remember her being in one of those workshops.
Yes.
So I'm not sure if she was just visiting, but she was a living
Yes.
person, I believe.
Wonderful.
So congrats to you. We look forward to hearing more about it. And hopefully we'll have some of the girls come visit us on the show in the fall. So
That would
when you
be
get
an
started.
amazing leadership opportunity for them
Yes.
to come and be part of this as well. So Janine, thank you for having us on.
Thanks
for directing your viewers to visit mywomensfund.org and
Yes.
learn more about us and how folks can be part of the change.
Yes, and I always tell people too, if they can't find you, they can at least find me, and I will give you the number.
Janine,
So-
you're nothing if not a connector.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Last segment, we talked about women. Today, you'll meet two women who are truly, truly on the move. Also, I'd just like to give a shout out to Rachel Karkoff, who's in the studio with us, and she's our publicist for the day, and she too is an innovator. Having just graduated from Bay Path University, and you'll see a lot of her information about the show online. So stay tuned. You will see a lot of background and articles and so forth. But let's get to our innovators. Katie, introduce yourself, please.
Hi. Yeah, thank you so much for having us today. So my name's Katie, and I am a co-founder of Open Pixel Studios. We're a local digital animation studio, which means we don't have a physical space. And we're really here just to make other people's visual voices heard. So we provide visual storytelling in the form of animation, whether that's 2D animation, 3D, live action compositing, which we can explain a little bit later. And so, yeah, we've been around for about 1.5 years now, and just majority women-owned. There's 3 co-founders, myself, Karen, and Will, and we're just doing the hustle, doing the grind, doing everything we got to do to make a really awesome animation studio here in the Pioneer Valley.
Great, great. Please introduce yourself.
My name is Michelle Moore. Thank you for having me. This is a wonderful opportunity. This is the first time I'm doing this. So I am an animator and illustrator. I graduated recently from Montserrat College of Art up in Beverly. It was a small, little art college nestled right near Boston, a couple blocks from the beach, which was amazing, to say the least. I grew up in Palmer, Mass. It's a little town in the valley, and art has become my life. And through many inward looking, inward searching, soul searching, I have become an animator. Whether that's good or bad, it's kind of consumed my life, and in a good way though.
Great, great. And what do you really attribute to you finding that as your passion and profession to some degree at this time? Was it in high school? Was it a teacher? Was it an activity? What do you really attribute? Could be your mom.
Well, I grew up a lot with TV, as most of us, and I was really drawn to cartoons and how they really elicit a response from people. They bring us together, I feel like, because they show us a whole bunch of themes, and they talk about family, and that's what I really, really loved. I also am really into anime, which is Japanese cartoons, I would guess, and that had been a big part of my life, and I've met a lot of people through talking about cartoons, talking about Pixar and Disney, Cartoon Network, and I wanted to be a part of that. And through high school, I didn't really know that at the time. I just knew that I wanted to be an artist. I went to Montserrat College of Art, and I've met my roommates that I still talk to now, that I've really grown to bond, because they helped me develop my art as much as I helped them. It was kind of like a collaborative thing. And through, I think it was sophomore year that we had to decide our majors. And I went to Anime Boston out in Boston. And we were all in one room, and there was multiple big screens. And so we were watching these animated videos, and everyone got the jokes, everybody's laughing, everybody just loves what they're seeing, the beautiful animation. And in that moment, I wanted to be a part of that. I wanted to have people watch what I make and have that response, have that, I love the art, like the music's awesome, the story like really touched me. Like I wanted to give that effect to people and have them have a memorable piece where they can go home and be like, oh, I saw this very awesome video. I want to be a part of that, and I want them to be excited about art and about animation and about illustration. So with animation, you kind of get more chances to tell that story through multiple frames, and I liked that over illustration because you kind of have that one image to kind of tell the story.
Right.
But through animation, you're carried on this journey that the author wants you to take. And
Well,
I really love
tell
that.
you, it is just a joy to hear the story of a young person who has had a positive effect regarding all that you see on TV, the media arts, and so forth. We hear so much of the negativity, so this is a really great positive story. And if you grew up like I grew up in the disco generation, I'm not sure we have the same effect. So it's so wonderful to hear. So tell us about your story.
Yeah. A little bit similar. We probably went to Anime Boston around the same time.
A lot of people.
Yeah, it's a big place. So yeah, I think I kind of always grew up, my family has always been kind of creative in the more theater and like media realm. And so I grew up on the video game spectrum. I think for Christmas my dad like bought himself a Sega Genesis, and I don't think he actually ever saw it or like played it, because it was up in my room and I'm sitting there by myself like just playing all these games. And I think I've always known, I think, that I wanted to do animation, but even in middle school, we had a career day, which I think happens pretty frequently, but we had to like dress up and we had to, say this is what we want to do with our lives. And so I had this giant 3-poster board I cut out all these pictures from these video game magazines that I had back in the day, and I said, I want to be a video game designer. And I had no idea what that actually really meant, because I think that's something that in the animation world that and in movies, a lot of people maybe don't understand how many people go into the process of making something, and they, and how much time that takes. So I was like, yeah, I want to design video games. Anybody can do that, and it's, and so that's what I wanted to do. And it wasn't until college I went to UMass Amherst, and I majored in a program that was called BDIC, which is a bachelor's degree of individualized concentration. And it was a really small little group, but you essentially got to build your own major from scratch. So I majored in computer animation, and I was able to take courses in everything: video production, theater, animation, art, just to kind of get the spectrum of like how that industry is formed. And I loved it, and I realized as I was going through these classes, I took one class where like someone just took a cube and they moved it across the screen a little bit. And I was like, that's it. That's the thing I want to do. I want to make maybe some more cubes, but I want to make it, I just want to make something move because that is the coolest thing I've ever seen.
I've done that exercise.
Yeah, everybody does. And it's kind of that, that kind of is what sparked it. And then really getting into that same idea of like really telling stories that can make a difference and make an impact, especially in communities. I think I've learned a lot recently that, because I own a business now, that there's so much more to animation than just the entertainment side. Or, if you look everywhere, you'll be surprised at how much animation you see.
Yes.
If you look at even just like apps on your phone, like something transitioning, that's an animation.
Which is great.
It's great, yeah. So I think that's kind of the realm that our company is going towards, that sort of business side of animation that really allows people to tell their story in the way that they want to tell it.
Yes, and it's wonderful. And again, you're from Springfield, right?
Yes.
So when you think about it, you're from Palmer. You've taken advantage of the educational system in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
And you've landed on this wonderful creative path. You and I, Katie, are on the wonderful panel as part of the Women Innovative Trailblazers
Yes.
group. And that's wonderful. And we invite you to join us because we are all trying to forge that creative journey.
Yes.
And understanding how it connects with business. Just give us your website so that
Yeah.
people can go forth and learn more about yours.
Yeah, you can find all of our stuff on openpixelstudios.com. And we also have, all the social media platforms, Facebook, Open Pixel Studios, Instagram, Open Pixel Studios, Twitter, Open Pixel Studio, because you can only have so many characters, so we
Yes.
couldn't get that last S in. Yeah, noted when we did it. And yeah, that's pretty much the easiest way to reach out to
good.
us.
And how about you for your site?
My site is Moore, Moore, my last name, dash art at wixsite/Michelle Moore.
Yes, and
Or
just-
if that's too confusing, it's Moore_art332, and that will give you my Instagram and my Twitter.
Great. And then you will see all of this in the article that Rachel is going to be creating for us too, that we will share along with the show. And I just want to congratulate both of you for, following your passion, following your dream, really creating a space that you feel good and that you want to grow in this world. If we can all hold on to that for the next generation, that will be a great space. And I look forward to both of you coming on again and showing us some of the fun stuff that you do in the fall. So stay tuned. So thank you so much.
Yeah,
Thank
you
you
for
very
having
much.
us. Yeah.
Thank you for joining us today on In Studio. If you have an idea or a person that should be interviewed, please contact the studios. We really want to talk with people in the community who are doing great things. We want to talk with people who have resources to share or opportunities. This is our time to connect with each other. I'm just so happy that today I connected with both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for having us.